Hey, and welcome back to another episode of Chad's Perspectives. Now, I am really enjoying doing these, and I got the last one out. Views, what are you gonna do? But I always have fun doing these and giving you guys my perspectives on the credit landscape and the YouTube landscape. So, without further ado, let my co-star do her thing, and then we'll jump right into the material.
Welcome back to my dad's channel. If you're new here, make sure to click that like button and subscribe, and don't forget to share.
So first things first, it's almost more of a PSA rather than a perspective, but the fact of the matter is I'm a little worried that I have to say this because I keep hearing this over and over in the credit card community. So here's the first thing. Coupon book cards are here to stay. Get over it. If you don't like the coupon book card, cancel it. There are some that are, there are some that are not. American Express, like everyone else. Get over it. They're here to stay and they're not going anywhere. American Express would be stupid to dilute their brand because coupon books for cards do what? They promote spending on a monthly basis. More swipes, more interchange fees, and especially with American Express with their closed loop system, they feed off of interchange fees just as much as they feed off of interest for some of the subprime and some of the irresponsible borrowers that they have. But the fact is they capitalize on the fact that not only are they the payment processor, they have the network, they're the bank and the issuer. So look, coupon book cards are here to stay. I don't know how else to say it. So if you don't like that, if that is something that I've seen in numerous videos over countless years, oh, the coupon book card, oh, this is going to be another coupon book, oh, this is another credit that I have to use monthly. The fact is a lot of people tend to complain about these credits as far as inconvenience goes, but no one ever argues about the value because they are in fact valuable. So this is something that I'm going to reiterate another time. Coupon book cards are here to stay and they're not changing, and nor should they. They're the producer, you're the consumer. I know that there are people staring at this video saying, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about or whatever. I know some folks agree, some may blankly disagree, but the fact is, trust me, once you hear this from the 4 or 5 channels that get credit for every single thought and every innovation in this space, then it's gonna be, but I have no problem going out on the hairy edge by myself. Coupon book cards are here to stay. They're not going anywhere. Either love them or leave them. So now the second thing. In credit card news, the biggest news so far, as of right now, is Capital One's proposed acquisition of Discover. The fact is it will make Capital One fairly well the largest credit card issuer in the United States, and it's produced some polarizing opinions. But here's my perspective on it, is that if you like Chase, you want this merger to happen. But if you like Amex, you do not want this to happen. And I'll explain. The reason I would say if you like Chase, you want this to happen is because the competition that Capital One will then be able to give Chase in the prime and above prime markets as far as applicants will then cause Chase to refresh a lineup of cards that for a better term are and that's in the best of cases. Let's just face it, how many people have been clamoring for a revamp of some of their most popular cards? And some of their most popular cards are only popular because they're popular. Aside from that, some of the cards with some of the most recognizable names are actually not very good. I'm thinking of Hyatt. I'm thinking of, a card that rhymes with base, Lafayette, deferred. A lot of their cards, they're just not great. But they carry the Chase brand, and behind it, they carry the might of Chase being the largest U.S. bank. Now, mind you, with Capital One being the largest credit card issuer, that will not make them the largest bank. So Chase still has an advantage, but if they want to be competitive in this market, the fact that Capital One can then swoop in and give them direct competition, maybe even direct to the point that Amex is not interested in challenging them, that could be good for lovers of chase cards because they can see some great revamps and some great improvements. Now, conversely, if you are an Amex fanboy, if you are an Amex lover, a lover of Amex and their ecosystem, you do not want this deal to go through. And I'll tell you why. The reason being is because if Capital One and Discover get together and start creating more coupon book cards, remember the first perspective, then that would be a direct competition to how Amex's ecosystem works, because now Capital One will be akin to Amex as they will have a quasi-closed system, because they will have the Discover network under their brand in addition to being partnered with Visa and or MasterCard if those partnerships persist. If that is so, they can create quote unquote coupon credits that can directly compete with and in most cases outshine the ones for Amex, which tend to be aimed towards people with above average income. Remember, Discover and Capital One have a large subprime audience, and they can actually tailor coupon credits to apply more so to the everyday working man, which could spell doom for Amex. Now, let's just keep it real. They're not going to drive them out of business, but that kind of competition will become so fierce, it could possibly push Amex into an even higher market, thereby pricing out people like us, credit card enthusiasts, and maybe even some people who are kind of like on the cusp, who hold Amex cards for things other than their spending power, but the credits and capabilities to leverage those credits to make their lives easier. And in addition to all of that, remember, owning the Discover network and utilizing Visa and or MasterCard would allow Capital One to offer the same type of coupon book cards, partner with more merchants, because they do what? Charge a lower interchange fee. So make sure you don't forget that part. Now, for number 3, this is more of a philosophical divide between me and a lot of people in the community. And look, we're all just gonna have to live with it. But I think my argument here is that intensity beats extensity. And what do I mean by that? I feel like focusing on 1, maybe possibly 2 at the most, airline and or hotel programs is much more advantageous than free agency. Now, the reason I feel that way is because you hear about free agency all the time. Now, me personally, I have credit cards from the major 3 hotel providers. I have a Hyatt business card, I have the Hilton Aspire and the Hilton Surpass, and the Bonvoy business. So now, before I was a Bonvoy loyalist, and I could tell the difference when I had Titanium Elite as opposed to before I had Diamond. So that is definitely something you want to keep in mind. But the value that you get at the higher tiers of hotel and airline loyalty, you're getting thousands of dollars worth of value, especially if you leverage them correctly. Now, in the US, since you can buy Hilton Diamond status, you probably domestically might want to stick with a Marriott or even an IHG or even a Hyatt if you stay at multiple places, because those higher statuses really confer a lot of credits. Like with Hyatt, when I was at the Park Hyatt last year for the New York Auto Show, if I had had Hyatt Globalist status, the $100 and some odd breakfast that we had, which was absolutely amazing, would have been free. Already that's returning value. In some cases, on the highest value, you can actually, the space available upgrades that they promise you as a member of the network can actually move you up a level in room, because a lot of the times when you get space available upgrades, they're within the same class room. So if it's one deluxe room that might be on a high floor as opposed to a middle floor, but with the higher statuses, that deluxe room may then become a suite. So these are the things that you want to think about. So like as a Marriott loyalist, once you get the sweet spot being Platinum Elite, it is fantastic. I am still currently Titanium Elite and I just attained Lifetime Silver status. But at Platinum Elite, really the incremental steps of Titanium and Ambassador beyond that, unless you are looking for a very personalized service, they really don't move the needle that much, especially for somebody who is not staying in super high dollar hotels. But to get the bonus points on check-in, to be a part of all the bonus promotions, it's worth its weight in gold, especially when you then want to do a points redemption in order to do a booking, because you can rack up points very quickly. As far as high it goes, if you concentrate on globalists confers the right to free parking on reward stays, which can be huge if you drive to a nice place. You can actually be upgraded to suites from regular rooms. That's a big one. Free breakfast, and they cover the tip on the breakfast. That's breakfast plus gratuity. They take care of it. Like, these things, they may seem small at first, but when you think about it, these things add up, especially if you're a frequent traveler. Now, as far as free agency, depending on where you live, free agency may work for you in some cases, but then you have to spend a ton of money, stay in a ton of different places. And most business travelers, even road warriors, tend to have a place that they call their own. They tend to have a place that has partnerships with their companies or is advantageous for them. You don't find a ton of Hyatts off the side of the highway. You just don't. But also, going into the airlines is the same thing with their status programs as well. So why then, even as a occasional flyer, if you can buy status by holding 2 credit cards and that one trip every year with your family of 4 and your one credit card that gets you all of these free checked bags, in addition to the possibility that you and your loved ones can be upgraded because you've strategically held these cards, that's value beyond value beyond value. So, you can do yourself a favor. You can fly American to LA and then fly Delta back, only to fly Southwest to Chicago, and then from Chicago fly United down to Houston. You can knock yourself out and do that all you want to. But I can tell you right now, as a holder of status, and I think my people with even higher status will agree, the air's a little nicer up there. Getting on that plane first is big because people are the absolute worst. So you want to get there, you want to get settled. I've seen the Porsche tarmac transfers at Atlanta Airport. Call it a psychological one if you want to, but feels good to be treated and respected for the loyalty that you have. And even my man Lonnie of Call Me Lonnie, check out his page, even he says he is assured that higher status in even the United system, United takes care of their loyal members. You've seen recent changes with Delta where they have made it very clear to focus on their million milers and other people who maintain loyalty with the Delta system. So those are my thoughts on that. I still think that being loyal to one system, I don't care if you change it every year, in this thing, that's what matters, because free agency only works when people are trying to pay you, not when you're trying to pay. Everybody's a free agent at that point. It's like, big deal. Really, you're not a free agent. You're just an indecisive shopper. So pick something and stick with it. Rack up the points, get the status, and just live better than those around you. Get in that special line so you don't have to wait with Adam and the rest of the poors. So, flex your status. Now, in the vein of intensity, that then leads me to my next perspective, and that is being intensive as far as a credit card ecosystem. Now, I know this is me kind of being contradictory because I hold so many credit cards. I'm a part of the Capital One system, the Amex system, the Chase system. Some people are a part of all 3 of those, plus the Citi system. I feel as though knowing one, truly knowing one, and concentrating on that, especially if you have the spend to support it, it is just better in the long term than it is to diffuse your points across different carriers. So now I know most people would say, well, the more point systems that you have under your belt, the more versatility that you have in transferring points. Yes, that could be true. But if you intentionally deploy your cards and you are a lover of the Chase ecosystem, I guarantee over the span of a year, you'll end up with more points than if you do like me and have Chase, Amex, Capital One built, and even Citi. Intention means that you are now optimizing to a point where your spending patterns are totally cocooned in giving you back value, period. There's no analysis paralysis. Which card do I use for this? Which card do I use for that? Now, mind you, I'm a bit of an extremist, so things have their place, but even if let's say, like, I can't be an intense person with the Chase ecosystem because I'm at LOL 24. Like, at this point, I don't even keep track of my 524 status. It doesn't matter. I don't care. It's meaningless. It does nothing for me because I'm just not going to get there, especially when I see great cards and I apply for them anyway. So I tend to focus on the Amex system, which I know literally like the back of my hand. I can reference whatever it is that I need to reference. And that definitely helps, especially if you are dealing in transferable currencies that you want to be able to maximize, because then you can do the bulk of your work in the system that you know. And if you choose to keep another system, if you choose to diffuse them, the other ones can just simply be top-offs. Now, in my situation, I am far more advanced than most people just starting. So I do hold Chase mainly for Hyatt. I do hold Amex mainly for my flights, and I can use them in conjunction, but I think that the best route is don't diffuse your points, try to collapse them. Make sure you have focus and optimized spend, and I think over the long run, that definitely will work out better for all people involved. Now for my final perspective, which is always a YouTube perspective, and this is for my new creators. Practice and time in front of the camera will infinitely do you more good than obsessing over analytics. Now, before you say, oh, but analytics, I need to know how many people are watching and blah, blah, blah. Who cares? I don't care if 10 people are watching you consistently. That's a consistent 10 people. That is an easy sample size to increase incrementally in order to make them happy. And then 10 people, talk to 5 people, you're at 15. Each one of those 15 may talk to 2 people, boom, you're at 45. And that's how you blow up your growth. But you can't do so if you don't have time behind the camera. If you think that when you're starting out, dropping one video every 1 or 2 weeks is going to move the needle, you will not be the next Mr. Beast. You need to get practice, be comfortable, be poised. But you need to get in front of the camera. People need to know your face. Join the communities. Start commenting on videos and really start flexing your knowledge. Study for your videos, but put time behind the camera. You have a thought, you don't know how it's going to be taken. Stop following what the big guys do. They have entire teams behind them, giving them suggestions that you yourself don't have. Make your thumbnail, figure it out. But the most important part is, I don't care how great your thumbnails are, when people click on your video, if you are literally slumped, not looking at the camera, looking down, talking this low because you don't really understand that you need to have a good voice for the camera, these things are gonna stunt your growth. Leave the analytics alone. Who cares how many views you have? Okay, I'm getting to 50 subscribers. Look, they're some of the hardest to get, your first 100, but at this point in the game, get behind the camera, make your shorts, make your videos, learn your editing, learn your style, your brand. My last video, I said, find your lane. In that practice, you may find your lane. You might be trying to do canned videos like this and find out that you're a podcast genius, but you can't do that without the practice. Do it at your dinner table, do it on the couch, do it in your car, do it in your attic. I don't care where you do it, but get the practice. Analytics can come later. Let other people obsess over the analytics. Get better with every video and get practice so that way they flow. Well, that's about it for another episode of Chad's Perspectives. I hope you guys enjoyed. I really like the interaction that I'm getting from these perspective videos. I do have some other stuff available for you. So I'm looking forward to that. And that is pretty much it. This is where I do the pointy thing, because you got to watch these, or at least one of these. Maybe watch that one. And without anything else to say and no reason to keep you longer, I'll catch you later.